Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again, this time with a cake story for you. This one goes like this. My husband was willing to fall on a cake that I made, even though he hates sticky things. This title is very confusing to me.
Hold on. Yeah, it's a nice heartwarming cake story, kind of.
Heartwarming.
But it's funny. It's kind of funny, too.
The title is My Husband Was Willing to Fall on a Cake I Made, even though he hates sticky things. Okay? This was 8 years ago. I, 26 female, and my later on husband, 26 male, were invited to his brother's wedding reception. I want to preface this by letting you all know my husband is so not cool with sticky things, like treading the line of phobia. My mother-in-law loves baking and decorating cakes. She goes way over the top with her cakes, though. If you could think of any cake someone at home has made and times it by professional, that's her cakes. She is amazing when it comes to cake. The newest techniques, the best recipes, the coolest gadgets, and the biggest sprinkle stash you've ever seen. If there's any type of cake you like, she can make it. If you have a specific theme, she can do it. And I'm not just blowing smoke here. The woman finds reasons to make cakes for everyone because she loves it so much. Well, anyways, she heard I was a cake decorator once, and I like to bake and decorate cakes and cupcakes as a hobby. I mean, like real low-key. I'd make a cake for someone here or there as a surprise, but never as professional as she did. I mean, I worked for a big box store. She asked if I'd like to make the groom's cake as she was already making the wedding cake, and I said sure. I just wanted to help where they needed me. We all had some sort of job to do. I might as well make a small groom's cake. Small? No, she asked me to make a football helmet cake. Do you know how hard it is to make a round cake? But I, never being one to back down from a challenge, said I could do it. I was bluffing, but it was a month away. How hard could it be to take a month to make a football helmet? Really hard. That's how hard it is. I tried out different homemade white cake recipes, a cake I had never made, and none worked. All did not turn out right. She sent me a recipe for homemade fondant. Guess what it did? Turned to a rock. The cake was supposed to have a raspberry filling. I tried 3 different recipes. 2 turned out to be soup. 1 turned to candy. I was not on a roll. I tried making different style face masks out of straws, skewers, all sorts of things, but they all fell. It just wasn't working. The week of the reception, I broke down and bought the Krusty's white cake mix, 2 jars of Smucker's jam, and 3 tubs of Duncan Hines white icing. I ordered the football team's logo from a bakery and slapped it all together, with a kicker's bar laying at the bottom. I stood back and looked at my helmet of a cake and got very disheartened. It did not look very professional. My logo was good on one side, but I forgot to order one logo to be pointed backwards for the other side, and it looked like a baby who lays on their back too much. And to top it off, I couldn't get the store-bought fondant to stick to the straw for the face guard. We got to the reception. I'm walking up to the church and he's carrying my atrocity of a cake. I took one look at my then boyfriend, now husband, and say with tears in my eyes, I can't do it. This cake looks bad. I didn't use the fondant like your mom wanted. It's a store-bought cake mix. It just doesn't look good. Without hesitation, he says, you have 10 to 20 seconds till my dad reaches us. If you really don't want to present this cake, I will fall over it by the time we get to the steps and tell everybody how beautiful it was. I wanted so badly to say yes, but I just couldn't. I just shook my head no. Better just to let them know who I am now. Maybe she won't ask me to make any cakes in the future. Is that so big of a deal? So we carried on while I sucked my tears back in. After we cut the cakes, people kept telling me how delicious my cake was, and one person even asked me for the raspberry filling recipe. I couldn't lie. I told them I tried so many but all failed, and in the end, went with a brand name like Smucker's. It has to be good. Side note, the best piece of advice I ever got came from my father-in-law after this. If someone else doesn't step up and you do, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You're the only one who stepped up and tried, and that alone is to be valued. Hell yeah, Opie. Hell yeah. That is fantastic. He did protect the cake. He was willing to fall on it if it meant that much to her, and I'm sure he had reassured her up to this point that it wasn't as bad as she was thinking it was, and it was beautiful and all the things he was supposed to say. But being willing to fall on it, and I'm sure ruin a suit, walking into a wedding reception, like, that's a big deal. I would absolutely do that. I would absolutely do that. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy getting it all over me, but I would do it for you. Speaking of suits, if you've never seen Candy Thunder and I gussied up, we actually had an event last week. We got all fancy. We got fancied up and we went to an event, and there's a few pictures on Insta. You can actually go take a look. It's one of the few times, like maybe one time per year, that we actually get dolled up. Hey, and to give some feedback on the story, we have the birthday boy, Tony Spark. I'm doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Spark!
Well, I think And not only does the hubby, but the father-in-law. And I gotta say, when I was reading this story, I really thought that there was gonna be I just put all that back in the box. I just put all this confetti back in the box and cleaned it up. Anyway, when I was reading it, I really thought that I was gonna read like the mother-in-law was gonna, be like, oh, look at this ugly cake. I would have done so much better. But there was none of that. I just thought it was nice and refreshing to find a wholesome cake story where it all ended up okay. It all was great. And you know what? Hubby and father-in-law and everybody, they get one of these. They're all DFHB approved because you know what? That was great. That's supportive all the way around. And at the time it was her boyfriend. I wonder if that was like the moment where she was like, I'm going to marry this guy, because she said at the time that was her boyfriend. Now it's her husband. Maybe that was it. It was the moment. That was the moment. This guy is willing to fall on a cake, walking into a wedding, and he was like, I'll do it.
He was willing to take the fall literally.
Literally. What a nice guy. What a great guy. And apparently the cake was good. I mean, and like the father, I do like what the father-in-law says. Hey, you stepped up when nobody else did. You said you'd do it. Good for you. She could have threw in the towel at the end and been like, I can't do it. Called in reinforcements, done something. But she was like, by God, I said I was going to do it and I'm going to do it.